Hi everyone, so this is Miles Morgan. So for today's lesson, we're going to tackle about the lesson 3, accounting concept and principle for FAB M1 for senior high school student grade 11. The objectives at the end of the lesson you are to first explain the varied accounting concepts and principle. Second, solve exercises on accounting principle as applied in various cases. So let's proceed sa discussion natin. So the first principle that we're going to tackle is the business entity principle. When we say business entity principle, it means a business enterprise is separate and distinct from its owner or investor. Okay, so para maging clear yung definition na ito, I will give you an example para madali siyang maintindihan. So if the owner has a barber shop, the cash of the barber shop should be reported separately from personal cash. Okay, so the personal cash and the business cash is must be separately. Okay? Magkaiba po ang personal cash and business cash. If you will buy material for your business, then kukuha ka sa negosyo mo. Okay? Pero once naman na bibili ka ng pagkain for yourself, for personal purposes, it should be deducted to your personal cash and not to business. Okay? The Another example is that the owner had a business meeting with a prospective client. The expenses that come with the meeting should be part of the company's expenses. Okay, tandaan po yan. If related to or if related yung expenses sa pagnenegosyo, then it should be deducted sa company fund or company money. Okay? Pero if the owner paid for his personal use, it should not be included as part of the company expenses. Okay, so if the company owner paid for the gas para sa pansariling kagustuhan, then it should not be part or it should not be deducted sa company's expenses. Okay, kasi pangsariling kagustuhan yon, pangsariling use yon. Okay, so it should be deducted sa personal money niya. So that is the meaning of business entity principle. The personal cash and the business cash must be separated. Okay? Kung saan mo kung anong purpose mo, if kung pang personal naman to or pang business, it must be separated. Okay? Next naman na principle is the going concern principle. When we say going concern principle, it is the business is expected to continue indefinitely. When we say indefinitely, having no exact limit. Okay, so when you prepare a financial statement, you should assume that the entity will continue indefinitely. So that is the meaning or the definition of going concern principle. Next is the time period principle. When we say time period principle, the financial statement are to be divided into specific time interval. So para mas maging clear to, we have example. So the first example is the Philippine companies are required to report financial statement annually. So kung dito sa time period principle, kung kailan kailangan ang reports or the accounting report, dapat doon gagawin yon or doon gagawin sa time na yon. Okay? So, dito, the Philippine companies must prepare a report, a financially report annually. Ibig sabihin, every year, they must give financial report to the right people. Okay, so the another example is that the salary expenses from January to December 2015 should be only reported in 2015. So kailangan yung financial statement sa about salary expense. kung yun na financial report is only good for January to December 2015, then hanggang kailangan hanggang 2015 lang siya. Okay, so hindi na siya i-continue or hindi na i-continue yung financial statement na yon sa year 2016 kasi it must be end in year 2015 kung kailan kailangan yung financial report. Next is the monetary unit principle. So when we say naman monetary unit principle, amounts are stated into single monetary unit. For example, Jollibee should report financial statements in pesos even if they have a store in the United States. So para maging clear and madali siyang maintindihan, we must use a one monetary unit. Kung into peso, if you are in the Philippines, you need to use Philippine peso. Okay? So kahit na may mga store ka sa ibang bansa like in US, Japan, Korea, and etc., it must use a Philippine peso. Okay? Para maging clear and madaling maintindihan. So another example is that IHOP should report financial statement in dollars even if they have branch here in the Philippines. So the company IHOP is from other country. Okay? Since they are from other country, they must use kung anong monetary unit ang ginagamit nila doon. Okay? So para katulad din dito, so katulad din sa example kanina natin, if kung anong klaseng perang ginagamit nila, they must use it para mas madaling maintindihan. So kahit na they have branch here in the Philippines, they still need to use kung ano yung pera na ginagamit nila sa bansa nila. Okay? So that is the monetary unit principle. Pero another thing is kung ano yung pinagkasunduan ng company, okay? Kahit na they're not from the Philippines, but they use the Philippine peso, since pinagkasunduan nila, then it's okay. Basta pare-parehas yung monetary unit na ginamit nila. Okay? The next principle is the objectivity principle. When we say objectivity principle, the financial statement must be presented with supporting evidence. So it is very important in making a financial statement in every businesses or in every company. Okay, you need a supporting evidence if you will make a financial statement. Hindi lang dapat ipapas mo sa business owner yung financial report lang. Dapat may nakalagay na supporting evidence such as mga bills or something na nas process or something na makakapag-support kung bakit ganon yung nakalagay sa financial report mo. So, we have an example para mas maging clear. When the customer paid Jollibee for their order, Jollibee should have a copy of the receipt to represent as evidence. So, mapapansin nyo, every time you go to restaurant, grocery, malls, and etc., and you paid something, magkakaroon kayo ng bill. Okay? So, hindi lang siya isang bill. It must be two bill para merong copy yung business and may copy yung customer. Pero minsan, since they are using computer, they have already copy it. So, para mas madali, or there's an evidence na eto pala si customer is bumili ng ganito. Si ganito bumili ng ganyan. Okay? So, another example is when a company incurred a transportation expense, a voucher should be prepared as evidence. So, every time nga na may lalabas na pera at papasok na pera, you need something evidence para ma-support kung bakit mayroong ganon na pera sa reports na ginawa mo. Okay? That is the objectivity principle. So it must be clear. Next na principle is the cost principle. When you say cost principle, the account should be recorded initially at cost. Okay? Example nito. When Jollibee buys a cash register, it should record the cash register at its price when they bought it. Okay? Nothing less or nothing more than. Okay? Kung ilan yung exact amount na pagbili ng cash register, it must record it into exact amount. Okay? Hindi sobra, hindi kulang. Okay? So yan yung isang principle sa every business or companies that must possess. Every time na may lalabas na pera, every time na there's an expenses, dapat yung exact amount yung ilalagay. Kasi once na hindi exact amount yung ilalagay natin, malilito siya, or malilito tayo, malilito natin na yung mga account at malilito kasi hindi balance yung paglabas at pagpasok ng pera. Okay, next naman na example para maging clear, when a company purchases a laptop, it should be recorded at the price it was purchased. Okay, when you buy a laptop daw for the company, then for example you paid for at like 15,000 per laptop, then since yun yung na binili mo at yun yung binigay mong pera, it must be recorded that every laptop is consumed 15,000. Okay? So that is the cost principle. Kung ano yung perang ibinili mo, the exact amount must be recorded. Next principle is the accrual accounting principle. So when we say accrual accounting principle, revenue should be recognized when earned regardless of collection, and expenses should be recognized when incurred regardless of payment. On the other hand, the cash basis principle in which revenue is recorded when collected and expenses should be recorded when paid. Cash basis is not generally accepted principle today. So to make it clear, I have an example. When a barber finishes performing his services, he should record it as a revenue. Okay, so when we say revenue, it is the sale that or the sale minus expenses is equal to revenue. Ibig sabihin, ito yung kita natin sa araw na ito. Okay, so once daw po tapos na yung pag-perform ng service ni barber, it should be recorded as a revenue. While when the barber shop receives an electric bill, when we say electric bill, ito yung kuryente, we need to pay for the electricity, you should record it as an expense even if it is unpaid. Okay? So, once na naka-receive ka po ng electric bill, it should be recorded as an expense kahit na hindi mo pa binabayaran kasi you will pay for it. Okay? Kasi once na hindi mo siya binayaran, the tendency is that the electric corporation will cut your electricity, then you cannot perform your service. So it is kaya once na may bill tayo na dapat bayaran, automatic na it will record as an expense. Okay, even though it is not unpaid pa. Next is the matching principle. So this principle is cost should be matched with the revenue generated. So ano kaya ang ibig sabihin nito? So we have an example. When you provide tutorial service to a customer, there is a transportation cost incurred related to that tutorial services. it should be recorded as an expense for that period. Okay, so anong ibig sabihin nito? For example, dito nga sa example, para mas maging clear, you have a tutorial service. So every time that you provide a tutorial service, nagkakaroon tayo ng expense sa transportation. Okay? So atong transportation cost natin or expense, it should be recorded as an expense for that period. Okay? Kung kailan mo pinerform yung service na yon. For example, ngayong araw, January 31, year 2021, you have your tutorial service and nagkaroon ng transportation cost, then it should be recorded as an expense for this day, for this January 31, 2021, and not in February 2, February 3, or etc. Okay, so that is the matching principle. Kung kailan nagkaroon ng revenue, dapat may date and time. Okay? It must have a date and time kung kailan mo or kung kailan ka nagkaroon ng revenue and kung kailan ka nagkaroon ng cost. Kapag connected siya sa negosyo or sa corporation. So that is the matching principle. Next naman, we have the disclosure principle. When we say disclosure principle, it means that all relevant and material information should be reported. Okay, so ano namang ibig sabihin nito? The company should report all relevant information. So, not all information about the company should be reported. Okay, dapat nakalagay din doon sa financial report natin. Okay, so ano ba, bakit ganito yung pera? Bakit ganito yung kita natin? Bakit ganito yung cost natin? It should be reported to the statement or the financial report. Okay, so para mas maging maayos yung kahinatnan. Okay, maging maayos kung bakit ganito yung naging end ng pera natin. Okay, so it will be okay for the business owner because alam niya kung bakit ganon yung pera. So because the all materials that is related to the business should be reported to the financial report. So next we have the conservatism principle. When we say conservatism principle, it is also known as prudence. In case of doubt, assets and income should not be overstated while liabilities and expenses should not be understated. Ibig sabihin nito, in case of the doubt, expenses should be recorded at a higher amount. Okay? So, for example, may nawala or hindi mo matandaan kung ilan yung nilabas ng business, wala din kayong record, okay? For example lang, then nagda-doubt ka kung ilan yung pera na lumabas. So, the expenses should be recorded in a higher amount, not less. Okay? For example, bumili ka ng, you buy a truck for your business, then wala kang exact amount kung ilan or kung magkano yon, but you have the estimated that it's worth 500,000, okay, then it must recorded in a higher amount. Okay, so for example, 550,000, it should be recorded for amount 550,000. Okay, so the revenue should be recorded at lower amount. So ito naman, kabaliktaran ng expenses. Pag revenue, pag kita, it should be recorded for lower amount. Okay? So, for example, hindi mo din natandaan, hindi mo nabilang kung ilan yung kita mo, but you estimated that this day, for this day, nagkaroon kayo ng revenue na worth 10,000. Okay? So, estimated mo pa lang yon. But you don't have or you don't record it, you should, I mean, you don't have the exact amount kung ilan yon, then ilo-lower amount mo siya. So, pwede mong ilagay na 900, ay 9,500 pesos. Okay? So, that is the conservatism principle. Next, we have the materiality principle. When we say materiality principle, in case of assets that are immaterial, to make a difference in financial statement, the company should instead record it as an expense. So, anong ibig sabihin nito? We have an example. A school purchased an eraser with an estimated useful life for 3 years. Okay, so since an eraser is immaterial relative to asset, it should be recorded as an expense. So whatever it is, as much as it is an asset, then binili ng company or purchase ng company, it should be recorded expenses. Okay? Kahit gaano pa yan katagal gagamitin ng isang company, it should be recorded as expense pa din. Okay? Kahit na mababang amount pa lang siya and you will use it up to 5 years, still expenses pa din. So that is the materiality principle. So it will end my recorded video discussion here sa materiality principle. I hope you gain something, you gain knowledge and skills about accounting, and it is clear for you kung ano yung mga principles na meron ng isang accounting. Okay? So, goodbye everyone. I hope you watch until here sa last topic. Okay? Thank you.